I'm very saddened and shocked that someone who I'm trusted has done this.
Shohei Ohtani speaking out for the very first time since allegations of theft and illegal gambling by his now former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. The Dodger superstar speaking through a new interpreter, saying he never bet on sports or knowingly paid any of Mizuhara's gambling debts, and that he was saddened and shocked that his longtime friend lied to him.
With more on Shohei and his feelings of betrayal, we are joined by celebrity psychiatrist and author Dr. Charles Sophie. Dr. Sophie, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you.
In his own words, he said that he was saddened and shocked. What does this do for someone's ability to trust in others?
Well, I think he also showed us that he was saddened. He had to take a breath. He had to gain himself and gather himself. It breaks trust. It's a betrayal. It's a huge betrayal. And so where do you go from there, especially when it's a big night for him and he has to admit that and own it and deal with it? And when you're telling the public what's happening, I mean, you're really feeling it. So it's devastating.
I mean, and this was a guy who was by his side from the time he was playing in Japan, every day with the Angels. I mean, he was literally his voice. Go out to the pitcher's mound for the coach to come out. He's there interpreting. So that's got to hurt even more. I mean, after that, it's like, who can you trust?
Exactly. And I mean, it's painful because they're stealing out of your pocket as they have their arm around you and they're protecting you. So what is protection?
If he came to you as a patient and said, you know, I have to perform tonight. I am the $700 million man, and I have all of these feelings that I'm dealing with. How do I overcome this so that I can perform to the best of my ability? What do you tell him?
Well, as we know, he's probably as good as he is because he can concentrate and focus. And I would have him look at those abilities of his own, put his feelings aside, and really deal with just his thoughts at this point and not his emotions. Separate them, focus, concentrate, get through it, and then process it after.
I mean, is it that easy to just sort of put things in a box for people?
That's the thing. It's not that easy, but he's good at what he does, obviously, to separate his emotions from his logic. And tonight you need to do it really well.
What about the fact that, you know, he has been an athlete all of his life? I mean, he's young. He's been sort of the star status for a long, long time, and he didn't really get a chance to be a kid, ultimately. How does this factor into dealing with betrayal like this?
Well, it's even more devastating because as a person who doesn't, you know, he's probably been parentified. He's an adult at an early age. He doesn't know how to trust, and now this only weakens it even more. So it is important for him to have a relationship with somebody, probably really a mental health professional, where he can rebuild trust and then go out of that relationship and rebuild it.
I mean, because he's been an exceptionally private person.
Yes.
And the Angels dugout, there are a lot of journalists who thought that he really does speak better English than he pretends to, but that he had the interpreter so he wouldn't have to deal with all the media all the time. The guy got married. Nobody even knew that he was dating somebody, and he puts out, didn't even put out the person's name. Eventually, you know, a couple weeks later, we see her going on the trip to Korea. So this is a guy who was having trust issues probably before in terms of being an open book. And this is the one guy who's there with him, and then that's the guy who's literally stealing from him. If you believe this story, if this story is true, you know, that's got to be like, where do you go from here? How do you work with this next interpreter? How do you work with your teammates?
You have to go slow, one step at a time. It's trust in any relationship. Once it's broken, it has to be built over time. It has to be earned back, and people around him have to earn his trust.
If you're Dave Roberts, and you know this is your guy, how do you manage him?
I would know that he needs to trust me, and that I would never put anything that's going to question anything in front of him, at least for a while, and rebuild trust slowly and teach everyone around him to rebuild trust slowly. He's going to question everything, and he should.
Well, I know Dodger fans are hoping it doesn't hurt his performance on the field after all of this, but just on a human level, we just are rooting for him because that just sounds awful.
It's painful.